Pretty chilly indeed, Tom. The temperature right now, a balmy 0. A little better than this morning, though, when we were right around -22. But imagine being in International Falls today where the mercury barely reached -46.
High temperatures 0 to 5 above with south breezes.
If cold were a state, then Minnesota would surely be its capital.
Okay.
Ron Sycama's job title officially
Make it a good day.
reads crossing guard. Days like today, though, Dad would be a bit more appropriate.
Burr. You got enough clothes on?
Even though elementary schools in Rochester started 2 hours late,
He said it's our first Minnesota winter, so I've heard that they're pretty long.
there were still plenty of kids who had to take on those frigid temps one step at a time.
Good morning. Are you nice and warm?
Just because he's a crossing guard doesn't mean Ron was any warmer than the rest of us.
Enjoy the cold.
He just tries not to think about it too much.
My thermometer is defective and it doesn't even go that low.
Which is a good thing.
It refuses to go below 11 below.
It's never too cold for hockey.
Even in the capital of cold, where hockey is king, -24 tends to wreak havoc on the Zamboni.
What we're probably going to have to do is just dry shave the rinks instead of using water to resurface them.
Things could be worse, though. At least the ice won't be going anywhere this weekend.
They're not going to notice the cold until they stop actually playing.
We may all pride ourselves in that hardy Minnesota attitude, the one where we claim to embrace the cold, but some days are a little harder to hold on to than others. Now, if you do have to head outside tonight, remember that it's only going to get a little bit colder. Take it from someone who's been out here since around 4:30. Layers and hand warmers. We're live in Northeast Rochester this evening. Chris Conti, KTTC News Center. Comforting symbols can sometimes be found in the strangest of places.
She was so excited she would come out here with my brother as often as she could and help him do chores.
Like the faces of young calves once adored by a little girl.
They're little just like her, and I mean, you look at a calf and you can't help but to think it's cute.
Comfort, too, can be found in the handlebars of the shiny pink bike she got just last weekend.
And we just remember how happy she was and how much joy she brought to our lives.
Kristen Meyer still can't stop thinking about the niece she lost in an instant Tuesday morning.
There's no reason why. There's nothing you can do to comprehend it. There's no words for it. It's hard for everybody involved.
7-year-old Caden Halverson was just crossing the street, just trying to get on the bus that would take her to elementary school.
The toughest thing is not seeing her and just with her hugs and her kisses and say, Aunt Kristen, I'm excited to see you, or I'm glad you're home today and I've missed you.
It's now Aunt Kristen who misses little Caden more than anything in the world.
I would just tell her how much I love her and how much everyone in her life loves her and cares about her and how much she means to all of us.
Comforting words that Kristen Meyer hopes her niece can somehow hear.
We still have a lot of why questions, but we have each other for support, and that's all we can do.
Patriotism runs deep in Northfield, Minnesota. Deep inside the hearts of Beverly and Tom Burnett.
And I was pleased, so pleased, that the Americans did it.
9 years, 7 months, and 21 days ago, they lost their only son, Tom Jr., as Osama bin Laden's network of terrorists carried out his plans on 9/11.
I felt this is the beginning. Now let's find the rest of them.
News of bin Laden's death Sunday night evoked memories of that gut-wrenching day in September.
I usually don't rejoice at someone's death, but I think this was the right thing.
So, too, were Tom's actions as terrorists took control of United Flight 93. He called his wife Dina 4 times from the air that day. In his last words, Tom said, if they're going to crash this plane into the ground, we're going to have to do something. We're going to take back the airplane.
If he would have had a few more minutes, he could have taken back that plane.
Tom and 43 other people died that day, but the Burnetts wonder why bin Laden had a proper burial at sea while their son's ashes are still spread across a field in Pennsylvania.
It was such a waste of such a great guy, such a great guy.
They know that nothing will bring him back, not even the death of the world's most wanted terrorist. Perhaps, though, this is the beginning of finding some closure.
I think he would have said, this is a good move. This is the first thing. Got to do more. And he's right.
News, were you amazed by how you looked?
What are the chances
I'm amazed every time I look at him. I mean, is the only thing I can say.
that a little boy from Wisconsin with a skin disease so rare only 1 in 1 million people have it?
I could tell by the way his skin felt. It felt different.
What are the chances that a procedure no one knew would work actually did?
In the beginning, I said, I'm not looking for a cure. I just want it to be a little better. You know what?
Like this?
I never expected it to be this good this soon. No, I didn't expect this.
At first, Charlie Knuth's stem cell transplant in December went just the way it was supposed to, until the blood infection.
He went into, oh gosh, renal failure, respiratory failure, and he had a tube down his throat.
Strangely enough, one night when he was in a coma, Tricia Knuth noticed something.
Like a snake shedding its skin, his hands like peeled like that one night.
Her son's blistered and bruised little body was healing. The transplant had worked.
And the skin underneath was like baby skin, soft, beautiful, new skin.
See, this is new skin.
Yep, that's right.
Even with all the progress Charlie has made so far, though, he still has 4 days a week of dialysis, which means he won't be able to go back to Wisconsin for at least another 3 months.
Oh, is it nice out, Charlie?
But Charlie's immune system is finally making a comeback.
Feels awesome to be outside and get fresh air because we were isolated in a little hospital room.
Which means the 4-year-old may finally have his childhood back.
Does anything hurt?
No.
How does that make you feel, that nothing hurts?
Happy.
They say beauty runs skin deep. For Charlie Knuth, though, he's 1 in a million.
Afternoon today, and Chris Conti's live at the airport tonight. And Chris, any idea now what was in that package?
That is still the big question tonight, Tom, but whatever it was suspicious enough to keep this airport shut down from 4:30 until around 7 o'clock. A big inconvenience for travelers, as officials just tried to make sure everyone was safe. If ever there were a stranger sight at the Rochester International Airport,
can't let you in right now.
No one trying to catch a flight home Wednesday had ever seen it.
The airport is closed, but no one's telling us why.
A few minutes shy of 6 o'clock, the why came from Assistant Airport Manager Kurt Clausen.
I really don't know what was in the package itself. I just know it's a suspicious item, and we're following procedures for that.
Whatever was in that package and who it belonged to is still unknown, but it caused enough alarm to shut the airport down from 4:30 until around 7 o'clock.
It was almost a flawless flight until we landed.
Laura Askelin's American Airlines flight from Chicago was never in any danger.
And I've had different incidences happen, but nothing like this.
With the airport closed, though, Askelin and her fellow passengers were forced to sit and wait on the tarmac for a while.
No, better safe than sorry. I'd rather wait and have us all get off safely than have us get on and have it be something.
A handful of inconvenienced travelers and rescheduled flights ended up being the worst part of this whole ordeal.
I don't believe anybody was in any danger. The item obviously turned out to be benign. It was not a bomb.
A long wait at the airport, courtesy of some TSA employees, just doing a very thorough job.
But again, we follow procedure. That's what we have procedures in place for. Everybody did what they were supposed to do, and in this case, it turned out for the better.
Authorities won't say if they have anyone in custody, but they believe that package was going to be put on an American Airlines flight that was to be bound for Chicago. We're live at the airport tonight. Chris Conti, KTTC News Center. Sometimes things happen in life that are so disturbing, so unspeakable. We can only hope those affected may not remember.
So I'm just glad that nothing else happened than what did happen.
Especially when it involves a 22-month-old, her 4-year-old brother, and pictures of their private parts.
We let him into our home and trusted him to be around our kids, and look what we're going through now.
Trust is something Lori doesn't have anymore. Because of that, she asked us not to use her real name.
It's what you do as a parent to protect your children, and something like this happens and you feel guilty about it.
That gut-wrenching guilt is rooted in allegations that Michael Sherman not only took nude photos of Lori's kids, but he also went so far as to touch them under their pants.
When I walked into that courtroom, I never would have assumed that it would have been as detailed and as graphic as what I seen.
According to court documents, Sherman used his cell phone to take nearly 70 pictures of those 2 young children, and the sheriff's department says because of how technology is these days, they're worried those kids didn't even know they were being photographed.
My first impression of it is that it's somebody that's been doing this for quite a length of time.
The 45-year-old was a close family friend. He even babysat on a few occasions.
We had no idea that he was doing what he was doing to our kids.
which makes what allegedly happened over the last 16 months even tougher to deal with.
I'd like to kill him, but I'm not going to risk, not being there for my kids just to get justice on him. Let the court systems do their work.
I have been the last
96 minutes.
I mean, it doesn't sound real.
No, it doesn't.
Howard Snitzer was dead for 96 minutes.
Unlike most people in Goodhue, I can say I wasn't born here, but I damn well died here.
It was the middle of January around 5 p.m. right outside Don's Foods in Goodhue when Howard's heart stopped.
I went home, I worked out, workout 24/7. When I crashed in front of the store, I was still wearing my gym shorts.
Of all things, it was an auto mechanic who saw Howard Snitzer lying on the ground right over there and began to save his life.
Right in front of the two doors here, he fell over right
For the next hour and a half, Al Laudermeyer, his brother Roy, and more than 24 first responders took turns performing CPR.
The aisles in the store are kind of narrow, but that's where we worked on him probably for half an hour or so.
As luck would have it,
we had him on a gurney with the ambulance crews.
The fire station happens to be right next to the grocery store.
Well, we're probably 100 feet.
With each pump, each push on Howard's failing heart,
it is pretty amazing, yeah.
No one ever thought twice about stopping.
This is the first time for us that we've seen anybody walk out of the hospital anyway, so it's pretty amazing.
Eventually, Mayo 1 flew him to St. Mary's.
So I have a few things a few hurdles to overcome.
Where after 5 days, he woke up and started over.
My intentions going forward are to, honor what was done for me with at least living the healthiest life I can.
In Rochester, Chris Conti.
Now they're getting my waddle from behind.
KTTC News Center.
Pretty chilly indeed, Tom. The temperature right now, a balmy 0. A little better than this morning, though, when we were right around -22. But imagine being in International Falls today where the mercury barely reached -46.
High temperatures 0 to 5 above with south breezes.
If cold were a state, then Minnesota would surely be its capital.
Okay.
Ron Sycama's job title officially
Make it a good day.
reads crossing guard. Days like today, though, Dad